Okay, Asia session done. Did not take any trades in Asia. And usually, when I don't take a trade or I skip a session, I don't make a video. But I think learning not to take a trade is just as important as when to take a trade. So I thought I'd share my process of why I did not take any trades in Asia. So 7 a.m. Tokyo Market Open. That's when I start looking for setups in Asia. So 15 to 20 minutes before that, I'm flipping through the Asia Forex pairs and marking off my signal days. Quite a few signal days today, especially on the yen. There's a trend breakout day. Took out that last bullish breakout bar. So the time frame bias is now reversed. So I mark off all my signal days and I put them in separate charts, separate tabs. Have one tab for the USD pairs, one for the JPY pairs. Those are my main focus pairs on Forex, USD and JPY. Here I have the Asia pairs I look at, London pairs and US pairs. And the rest of the pairs, I'm looking, all the rest of these, I put in a separate tab. So on these Forex signal days, I'm looking for the trend retracement setup. These are the rules for the trend retracement setup, and all of them were invalid by the time I got to the market. Some of them triggered the H8 high way before my session. Some already broke out. Some, like Aussie USD, were going the opposite direction. It's a breakout reversal day for me, so I was looking for a fake out, a sell below the fake out level, but it broke out above and faking out the previous high. This is a fake out reversal setup, but I don't take reversals in Asia, so no setups for me on the Asia Forex pairs. Yen pairs, the one I liked the most was on CAD-J. Lots of nice movement on the yen. Some really nice movement on the yen. CAD-J was the one I liked the most. We were below the H8 breakout level, below the week breakout level, and below the daily breakout level. Some of them were mixed bias. This one has mixed bias. We were above the day breakout levels. A lot of them were above the day breakout level. And so the one I liked the most was CAD-J and GJ. But GJ, the weekly, is bullish. So there was some nice movement here. It's below the H8 breakout level. And so did not trade this one because it did not trigger the H8 high, but this is still a setup on the H8. So on H8, I am looking for, on setups on the H8, I'm looking for momentum on the H4 or H1. And yeah, so looking for fake outs of the H4 or H1 high to take it down. And on the H1, there's not a fake out of the high, but it does close below that H1 breakout level, flipping this bias time frame bearish. So this is 100% a trade that I would take if I saw it, but I did not see it. And the reason why is because it did not trigger the H8 high. So for me, I only look at a market once the H8 high gets triggered. And the reason why is because I look at so many different pairs, and I really don't want to be analyzing every single one of these pairs individually. If you can imagine analyzing where the breakout levels are, where the higher time frame breakout levels are, analyzing where the market is moving and things like that, it would drive me absolutely crazy if I'm individually looking at each one of these markets. So the only time that I start analyzing a pair is once the H8 high gets triggered. So usually when the H8 high gets triggered, I have about 15 to 45 minutes until I get an entry. And only then is when I start looking at the higher time frame breakout levels. I'm looking at the different time frames and seeing if I'm going in the right direction, forming my bias. But until this H8 high gets triggered, I am not looking at the market. So again, this CAD-J trade, the GJ one, is definitely tradable. I don't think these other ones I would trade because we're flipped breakout levels. The H8 is higher. So CAT-J and GJ were the only ones that I could trade, but it did not trigger the H8 high. But it is a tradable move. So one of the concepts that I live by in my trading is the concept of a perfect trading day. So I think about what is a perfect trading day to me. Perfect trading day to me is not winning every single trade. What a perfect trading day to me is, I think about how does trading revolve around my life and how do I want to be trading. I don't want to be sitting at the computer all day analyzing every single move. I don't want to be going on the weekends analyzing trend lines and all this sort of analysis of a market. The way that I think about trading is I wait for my setup, walk into my session, wait for the setup, look for momentum, take my trade, and I walk away. That's it. Trading, a perfect trading day for me does not include analysis. I absolutely hate doing analysis. I know lots of people who like to analyze the market in the on the weekday on the weekends, and then mark off their levels on the weekly levels. If the market comes to previous week high, I'm gonna take a sell here, or if this does that, I'll take a buy here. Like, for me, I have no idea what the market is gonna do. All I'm doing is I'm looking for momentum in the market. When it triggers at H8 high, that's when I know that my setup is um, probably there, and that's the only time that I'm looking to analyze a market. So even though there's nice tradable movement on these yen pairs, it did not trigger that H8 high, so I did not have this pulled up in a different monitor. But if I did have this pulled up in a different monitor, and I would 100% have taken this trade, but I just did not see it because it was not on my radar, because it did not trigger the H8 high. Gold is another one that kind of moved quite nice, but it did not trigger the H8 high, so I did not take a trade on this. Broke below that H8 breakout level, broke above that H8 breakout level, and then Friday closed below it. That's a false breakout. So we're breaking out of a breakout high. This is a breakout high, and then once we get below that breakout level, that turns into a false breakout. What I'm looking for on a false breakout is a fake out of a high to take it down. So again, this is a setup on the H8. On H8, I'm looking for momentum on the H4 or H1. So if I drop down to the H1, I can see that we faked out the H1 high over here, and we got below the H1 breakout level. I think that's the breakout level, right? So we did get below that breakout level. So the H1 is now bearish. And so I 100% could have taken this setup. The entry confirmation is on the M5. So I would enter on the M5. 100% I could take a trade on this because it did set up. And so I would be taking it down to the previous fake out level. It was a fake out day, so this I have to be careful of the fake out level here. The H8 also closed as a bullish fake out, so I would go break even before this level. So if I took an M5 entry, I definitely have enough room to go break even before here, and I would take profit as price gets to this fake out level. But I did not take that trade because it did not trigger the H8 high, so this was not on my watch list as I was trading. So I'm very different from other traders. Whenever I hear people talk about their process, they talk about how they meditate and, they turn off the lights and visualize their future or pull up a mood board. I'm not doing any of that. I'm watching Netflix. I'm watching the Knicks play. This NBA is off right now, but watching the NBA, watching sports. I don't do any of that stuff. I just simply wait for my setup, waiting for the H8 high. I'm not interested at all. Like, literally, I'm not looking at it at all until this H8 high gets triggered. So the only pair in Asia session that I was focused on was this Nikkei when it triggered that H8 high. So Nikkei on the daily, it's a trend breakout signal day. That's when the last bullish breakout level gets taken out by a bearish one, flipping this time frame bearish. Last week closed as a bearish fake out week, faked out that previous week high, closed below, looking for high of the day, sells today. So 7 a.m. price came up, triggered that H8 high. That's first thing I'm looking at in my entry checklist. This is a daily setup. Daily, I'm looking for momentum on the H8 or H4, ideally the H8. I need H1 traders on my side, and the confirmation time frame is the M15. So we got that H8 high fake out. That's part of my entry checklist. I need the momentum triggered, previous H8 peak fake out or breakout. Got that. Next thing I need is a previous H1 fake out or a closure below the H1 breakout bias. So this is a new H1 bar. So I'm looking for a fake out of the new H1. I do not get a fake out of the new H1. So then I look at the H1 breakout bias. So once I don't get a fake out of the new H1, I'm looking for a closure below the H1 breakout level. Faking out that previous peak, that's the first sign of a reversal, but the confirmation is when price gets below that breakout level. So did not fake out that previous, the current peak, but it did fake out the previous one. So I could also see this as a possible entry. Only problem is the gap between this and the breakout level is so small that it's too difficult to take a trade based off of this level. So the other thing that I'm looking for, so first of all, it never closed below until after my session. Um, so there was no entry for me during my session. Um, and I'm also looking for the M15 breakout bias. So we got the last bullish breakout bar taken out by a bearish bar, but it did not close below the M15 low. So what this tells me is that it's not 100% confirmed that this is a bearish move. But if you look at the chart, and it might be a little bit confusing, but hopefully you can understand. When we have a breakout bar, we're breaking out of a previous high. So we're trading a breakout high on the M15. Do not get a M15 fake out, but we do get a closure below that breakout level. So price came up, did not give any proper setup for the breakout reversal, but it did get below the breakout level again. So this candle becomes a false breakout. The better move is when price gets below the previous low. And if it does that below that breakout level, it turns into a trend breakout. So an M15 breakout bar is a trend breakout cycle, turning the M15 into a new trend. So do not get that. So I'm still bearish as long as we're below this breakout level. This becomes a peak formation, but there's still a chance that the price can still go back up. So even if I did take an aggressive entry like this and put my stop loss at the high of the day, let's say I decided to take an aggressive entry like this, I don't have enough room for me to take a good trade. It's a 1.5 hour trade. That's not enough for me to take a trade like this. When you fake out the H8 high at the high of the day in Asia, that's the first H8 of the day. Uh, if you fake out the H8 high at the high of the day in Asia, that's the first one. There's a 33.3% chance that this locks in the high of the day. If I have a strategy with a 33.3% win rate, I need to be targeting at least 2R in order to be a break-even trader. If I get into the habit of taking trades like this under 2R, 1.5R, over time, I would expect to be a losing trader because I would only expect to be correct 33.3% of the time. So I will not take a trade, high of the day trade like this if I'm only getting 1.5R. I need at least 2R, maybe slightly below if I'm, perfectly happy with the setup, but I'm generally looking for at least 2R to take moves like this. And same thing when price actually does close below. This is already after my session, but even if I did decide to take this trade where it does close below, putting my stop loss way at the high, not enough R, and taking a trade like this would be too risky for me. So the other thing is there's an inside bar here on the M15. Whenever I see an inside bar, I extend the previous bar's highs and lows. So we are in a range here. And on the H1 as well, there's an inside bar here that extends the previous bar's peaks, and that becomes a range. Did break out, but we need to see if there's continuation. But again, this is after my session, so I'm not trading. So I only look for new trades when there's two markets open at the same time. That's when I'm looking at momentum. So I'm looking for the times when there's highest volume in the market. For me, the probability that the highest volume is in the market is when there's two markets open at the same time. So in Asia, I'm only trading when there's Sydney and Tokyo open at the same time. In London, I'm trading when there's Tokyo and London market open at the same time. And in New York, I'm only trading new setups when London and New York are open at the same time. So no setups for me in Asia. Never got below this H1 breakout level until just now. So no trades for me. So usually I don't make videos about stuff like this, but I think it is important to understand when not to take a trade, especially on a Monday. I know a lot of times, especially for me, before on a weekend, I'd be so anxious to take a trade, be so you know looking forward for Monday to open, and then I would mess up so many trades in Asia. And so I had to learn the hard way of when to not to take trades. So hopefully there was some value in this video, and now waiting for we'll do my analysis on the London pairs. So basically, what I'm doing, I already have the Asia ones here, and I literally will just flip through each one and mark off the signal days. So this is a trend continuation signal day, and I go one by one and see if there's any signal days here. Nothing here. UK 100. So this one was a breakout. Oops. This is a range fake out, faked out the range. So I mark off this color. Gold, no signal days. So again, just because there's no signal day, it does not mean that there's no trades. It just means that I'll probably find a higher probability setup on the markets that do have a signal day. And again, the signal days are when breakout days or fake out days that are going with higher time frame trends. So this case, I have higher time frame breakout levels pushing up, uh, and the last peak triggered are below. So this is a higher time frame trend. Only problem is the weekly breakout level is still bearish, hasn't taken out the last bearish one. I mean, daily breakout level hasn't taken out that last bearish one. So this is probably not a good one, but I still mark it off because I'm a mechanical trader. If I see my setup, I'm marking it off. Euro GBP, nothing there. And I just flip through Euro USD. Is there anything there? Nothing. GBP CAD, nothing. GBP USD, nothing there. And Swiss pairs, I generally don't like, but I still mark them off just in case I see something nice. So this one looks pretty nice to me. Trend breakout continuation. Trend breakout day, higher time frames all bearish. Peak bias all bearish as well. So let's see where I am. I like to trade the trend breakout setups. Has not triggered the previous H8 low. It's an inside bar though. H8 closed as an inside bar. So inside bar, what that means is I'm inside of a range on the H8. I got to be careful of taking any trades when I'm inside this range. So mark it off. And so that's something that I'm looking at. Euro Swiss, trend breakout. Hey, what's this? Trend continuation. Lots of them here. Trend continuation. GBP Swiss. Oh, so it looks like Swiss pairs did some nice movement. So this is something I'll have a look at in London session right after this video. And that's it. USD Swiss trend continuation. So that's all I do in market and pre-market analysis. I come into the market, 20 minutes, in this case, 30 minutes before my trading time, mark off my signal days, and then I put them all in one chart, and that is it. So Euro Oz, Euro CAD, JPY I have already, Euro NZD, GBP AUD, GG I have, GBP NZD, CAD Swiss, Euro Swiss, Euro Swiss, GBP Swiss. So that's it. I got all my signal days, and now this concludes the pre-market analysis for me. Now all I'm waiting for now is a fake out of the H8 high to get triggered. So for something like Euro Swiss, I'm not interested at all in analyzing this market until that H8 high gets triggered, and that is it. So now I have D30 and UK 100. I have a separate monitor where I have these two pulled up as well as gold, and that's it. I leave it alone, not looking at any other pairs, not doing anything else. I'm done. Don't do any analysis. I'm not going to sit through the computer, watch movement. Going to come back at London Open, see how London opens, see if anything gets triggered, and then every 15 minutes come back and see if my setup has played out. So once I get a setup, so let's say this is London Open and I get a setup here. At this point, I'm looking at the breakout levels. I see that we're above this daily breakout level. Would prefer to be at the low of the day. Actually, we are at the low of the day. I'm inside of a H8 range. H8 close inside bar. So I see that there's an inside bar in the H8. I mark off these inside bar levels. And so I know that I'm not going to be trading this until I get out of this level. And that's it. So I'm going to wait 30 minutes until London Open. And that's it.